Saving for a home can feel overwhelming, especially when you're trying to balance everyday expenses, unexpected costs, and still wanting to enjoy life. In this video, I'm going to share exactly how I was able to grow my money strategically through investing to buy my first rental property in my early 20s. I'm Joyee Yang, a finance girly who makes investing content simple and realistic. I sold all of my investments to pay for the down payment of a joint property at 23 years old. Before that, I was kicked out of my parents' house at 19 years old, so please, no comments about it being daddy's money. If you're someone who's been thinking about buying a home or you're just trying to build your wealth effectively, this video is for you. By the end of this video, you'll have a clear action plan to help you start working toward your first property. And trust me, if I can do it, you can too. If you're excited to learn more, give this video a like and let's dive in. My investing strategy in my early 20s. When I first started my investing journey, I focused heavily on dividend investing. Now, if you're new to investing, dividend stocks might not seem as exciting as high growth stocks that can jump 30 to 40% in a year, but they offer something that I value: stability and predictable income. I chose dividend stocks because they provide a steady cash flow that I could reinvest or put toward my savings goals. My portfolio included dividend aristocrats and dividend kings, basically companies with a strong track record of paying and increasing their dividends for decades. So what were the stocks that I was holding? Let me walk you through my core holdings 4 to 5 years ago. VFV, an S&P 500 ETF that tracks the top 500 companies in the US, Coca-Cola, a well-known brand that has been paying dividends for over 60 years, Johnson & Johnson, a healthcare giant with reliable growth and dividends, and Enbridge, a Canadian energy company known for strong dividend payouts, and lastly, TD Bank, one of the biggest banks in Canada with consistent dividends. Also, fun fact, I've been a TD customer since I was 16 years old. Having a portfolio filled with these types of companies gave me confidence that my money was steadily working for me, even when the stock market had its ups and downs. I totally agree that there were many other stocks and investing opportunities much more exciting than my portfolio, but I was a young adult who had to tighten my budget, save for rainy days, and I was juggling 3 jobs just to be self-sustaining while building my wealth slowly. So any investment that involves higher risks was not my preference at the time, even if the returns could be much higher. I also had in my mind that I wanted to buy a property at 25, so that only left me with 6 years, 19 to 25, which is technically a short-term goal. I ended up buying my first property at 23. I was prioritizing stability and I wanted to make every penny compound itself. So when I was working hard in the day, my money was also working hard for me at night. Time to tell your money to clock in. But most importantly, I reinvested the gains. So when my savings account paid me interest, I didn't spend it, I let it compound. When I got paid dividends, I automatically reinvested that money back into the stock. That was my goal and I stuck to it for years. I've also only called in sick to work once or twice a year. My saving approach. Now, when it came to saving for my home, I knew this goal wasn't exactly super short term, but it also wasn't a long-term retirement goal. It was somewhere in between. So what do I mean by that? You see, realistically, most people in their 20s to 30s would have short-term purchases such as cars, electronics, vacations, and as for me, a rental property as soon as I managed to afford it. Owning a property definitely felt like a distant target for me in my early 20s, especially when I was forced to live on my own, which means higher monthly expenses. If I had just relied on saving my paycheck and did nothing else, I would have taken much longer to finally save up enough for my down payment. So I wanted to give myself a 6-year target, increase income, and reduce spendings. To fast track my income growth, I was working 3 jobs at the same time. One of them was a part-time position that I took to make sure that all the money I earned on this job got deposited directly into my TFSA, which was my primary savings and investing account at that time. And to further increase my income, besides the dividend stocks that I focused on, I chose to lean on stable investments like the S&P 500, which has historically provided an 8 to 12% annual return over the long run. My top ETF was VFV, which is a Canadian ETF that tracks the S&P 500. It's similar to investing in SPY or VOO, which are traded in USD. For me, the benefit of buying a Canadian ETF is that I don't have to be charged a currency conversion every time I buy a stock, because every single hard-earned penny mattered a lot to me. Today, VFV is still my top choice for broader market ETFs. You can see how much I'm holding and get alerted when I buy and sell my ETFs and stocks. All you have to do is sign up for my free newsletter and you will start receiving my emails where I share my portfolio updates, weekly investing insights, and other free tutorials. The goal was to grow my money steadily while keeping it accessible when the time came to buy my property. So choosing to invest in ETFs and stocks and using the TFSA as my primary investment account helps ensure that I can cash out anytime whenever I need it because they are the most liquid assets and the best investment account. On the other hand, I developed a habit of tracking my monthly expenses using a budget tracker. Believe it or not, this was really the most useful way to reduce my spendings and save up faster. I've been advocating for cutting expenses on clothes, shoes, branded goods, and any small recurring purchases such as coffee. Small purchases add up over time, especially when you are not tracking them. I have a very detailed video tutorial on how I log my monthly expenses to keep track of how they impact my net worth. It is an automated Notion tracker, so if you're interested in learning more about how I use it, comment budget tracker and I'll send you a link to the free tutorial. Getting used to the money saving habits wasn't always easy, but I stayed disciplined with my fixed contributions to my TFSA and stayed aware of how much I was spending using a budget tracker. Over time, my savings started to grow faster than I expected. With the right approach to investing and saving, the goal of owning my first property became reality. And there you have it, a photo of me celebrating in my new apartment with my childhood friends and a little sneak peek of what my apartment looked like when I first got it. Today, I'm a 26-year-old full-time investor. Let me share with you the lessons I learned along the way. Looking back, my journey toward buying my first rental property wasn't just about investing or saving. It involved discipline, patience, and sacrifice, and making smart decisions with limited resources that I had. Here are the 3 biggest lessons I learned that made the biggest impact on my financial journey. 1. Hard work pays off even if it's temporary. Working 3 jobs was tough, but I consistently reminded myself that it was a temporary grind for a long-term reward. I knew that the more effort I put in now, the more freedom I would have later on. Whether it was sacrificing my weekends for extra shifts or cutting out unnecessary expenses, every little effort contributed to a much bigger goal. I remember working 10 to 12-hour shifts every single day for months. I watched all of my friends go on vacation while I hadn't left the province of Ontario for 13 years. I also cut out coffee. I didn't buy a single piece of clothing, except socks, because obviously you walk a lot as a server. And I never ate out at a restaurant for months. If you're in a season of grinding right now, keep reminding yourself it's temporary and it's worth it. Number 2, prioritizing stability over hype is key. When I first started investing, I used to feel like I was missing out on the hottest stock picks and crypto booms that everyone around me was talking about. But deep down, I knew my goal wasn't to gamble on risky trends, it was to build a solid foundation that I could rely on. Choosing stable investments like dividend stocks and the S&P 500 allowed me to stay focused and stress-free, knowing that my money was steadily working for me even if I wasn't checking the market every day. And honestly, that peace of mind is priceless. Number 3, start small and stay consistent. One of the biggest lessons I learned is that it's not about how much you start with, it's about how consistent you are. When I first started investing, I wasn't contributing huge amounts, but I stayed committed to my plan, investing in a fixed amount every month into my TFSA, no matter how small. Over time, those small contributions added up and compounded into something significant. If you're feeling overwhelmed or like you don't have enough to start investing, trust me, start small, but just start. The most important thing is to build a habit of investing and let time do its thing. I'd love to hear your thoughts. What's your biggest saving or investing goal right now? Drop a comment below and let me know. Achieving my goal of buying my first rental property wasn't just about having the perfect investment strategy. It was about having the right mindset, making smart financial choices, and staying committed to my plan. And if you're on a similar journey, I want to encourage you, whether you're saving for your first home, a major life goal, or just working on growing your wealth, the key is to stay patient, stay consistent, and trust the process. And if you found this video helpful, you can learn about my current investing strategy by clicking on this video over here. See you in the next video.